Salutations everyone, this is Razor bringing you guys another Overwatch 2 video here today talking about Kiriko. Who else? I had all the issues at launch that everyone else had, so I didn't really get to play it all the first week and wanted to wait till I had some decent footage, and really only playing quick play because of all the problems that were plaguing people, and especially with the Bastion bug. Didn't want to take the chance of losing a game to some nonsense, so only playing quick play, and of course wanted to try out Kiriko. Wanted to see how good she actually was to, for people who aren't pro players, aren't top 500, and to see where she should be played and how she should be played, right? And how good she actually is. So first of all, I love her. I love Kiriko. Yes, the short was amazing. That always helps you endear yourself to a character, but I love this kit. I love this character. I don't think she's too strong. I don't think she's too weak. I don't even know if she'll be played when she becomes available in the next stage of Overwatch League for playoffs. I'm not too sure. I'm leaning towards not, but maybe it'll just be super duper map dependent here, because she is definitely a map dependent character. She's not a character you can just throw together on any map and solo main her, quote unquote, right? I wouldn't play her on a brawl map, right? I'm not going to be playing her on control center. I'm not going to be playing her in some stages in Busan. So I'm not going to be playing her in a lot of close quarters maps and situations, because it's just not smart. She doesn't deal a lot of damage, Aaron Keller said in the post. She's outputting out as much damage as Ana, but up close she's gonna have a harder time surviving while attacking. So while we're at New King Street, I'm able to take some mid and long range shots. If I was only close, doing anything other than crit is not going to be worth doing anything, because her body shots just aren't going to give you enough value as you could with Lucio or Ana or Moira, or really, you're too vulnerable, right? Even though you have a really good positioning tool, it's not going to help you when everybody's all grouped up, right? But if you can get the long sight lines in a map as an Ana player, right? In a map where Ana's really good, Kiriko is going to be good. Because you can take those that just poke damage, right? You can throw your kunais at headshot height, and hopefully at the very least get damage. You can go super aggro, especially after a team fight win, or you're resetting their spawn point, right? You can go super duper aggro, maybe hit a shot or two, and then just teleport out, right? Go right to whomever is closest. And she can, of course, go in with flankers, but you really have to coordinate that, or just get really lucky with where the enemy is, because you're not going to know exactly where they are, right? Unless, Widowmaker's sights are up for whatever reason, which we really haven't seen a lot of Widowmaker in Overwatch 2 thus far. So as you can see right there, I thought, all right, we're in trouble. I hear the blade. Let me try to go in and protect the Reaper and Orisa with the Suzu, and just immediately dies. So you need to have the intel, you need to have the coordination with your dive DPS, say, or possibly a dive tank, maybe going Wrecking Ball or something like that, to be successful in that play style. But otherwise, she is, I think, very good plug and play. She's not going to be great with every duo support, right? You're not going to always want to play her, even if it is a good map for her per se. While her healing is actually pretty decent, she is a decent pocket healer. She can output a decent amount of healing, as much as you would need, because for someone to be a quote unquote main healer, right? Which I would say we don't have anymore. Main healers and off healers aren't really a thing because of the way 5v5 works. You can kind of use whomever you want, but it all depends on your tank, right? So let's say I'm on Junkertown. Kiriko's a good pick for Junkertown, right? You got long sight lines and things like that, but your other healer is Zenyatta. Also a really good pick on Junkertown, especially on attack, right? But if we're playing with, say, an Orisa or a Junker Queen, I'm probably switching off Kiriko if we're using Zenyatta, because, like, all right, we don't have a shield. Our tank can get super honed in on, so I'm just going to pick something that is not going to be diveable at the same time as able to throw out a lot of quick and sustainable heals to our main tank. So while I think she's good on your long range and mid range maps, I think she's probably good on most of the push maps. She's good on the new one, Esperanza. But I haven't played her in the Coliseo. I just feel like, you know, Lucio and Moira and Ana are a little bit better and a little bit more consistent, because with Kiriko, if you try to go super aggro and DPS style, you're going to be very inconsistent. If you're going for just a healer bot, you're going to do almost no damage, right? Because you're really only going to get your damage off of those headshots. None of your other abilities do damage. All you have is a reposition and that protection Suzu, which, you know, you're gonna have to time exactly right. If your team is getting ulted, like say by an Orisa ult, and you're trying to time when you think she's gonna drop it, you just have to be off by a tiny fraction of a second, and all of a sudden you've wasted everything. But her ultimate is also pretty decent. Like I suspected, it's similar to Baptiste Window. You're going to have circumstances where you get a ton of value off of it, and also your enemy team can just run away from it and you just kind of get no value, right? You're either going to want it to be an initiating tool or something to combo with either your enemy diving or getting nanoed or some other type of ultimate, right? It's not going to be very good in the mid fight because at that point you're probably going to want more heals, and everyone's just going to be pressing W most likely, and people aren't going to be focusing on healing probably. So it's not going to be very good in the mid fight, but it's good for initiation. That's going to be where it's going to absolutely shine. You're going to get a big head start on the damage in a team fight if you start off with Kitsune Rush, and also if you just pair it up with something else that works. And as you can see, we're in a spot here. It's just me and Orisa against the Genji and the Sigma. And I was positioning myself away from Orisa so that they would have to focus me if they wanted to get me. And Orisa was using her cooldowns well enough, as well as me using enough heals and scaring off the Genji with my own damage, that neither of us died, and we were able to get the rest of the team enough time to come back, and then boom, we get a team kill. So those are the kind of instances where Kiriko is really going to shine, where you can be a little bit unsafe with your positioning because you know you have the teleport. You have the ability to heal a really good amount of healing. Especially if your tank has some mitigation to them. She's not going to be nearly as great with some ticks, you know, compared to others. But since Orisa has two mitigating factors, my heals are going to be able to give her enough leeway to where she's not just going to be constantly hanging on the edge. And here we lost our Orisa, but we had the respawns. We got a pick, and I threw out the Kitsune Rush, and it works right here, as I just pick up a little 1 and a 2 piece against their tank and their soldier. So things are going to wrap up here in just a second here on New Queen Street. A good map for Kiriko. Anything that's mid to long range, she's going to be good. She's going to be good on these push maps, which is fantastic. Obviously, Suzu can be a big boon for your team. Cleansing those sleeps, those antis, you know, possibly, you know, maybe you need to throw out hit on a Discord or something, and she can fit, as long as you're not only close range, right, fighting on a control point, she's going to have a lot of different windows to play with. As I pick up play of the game here on that final ultimate, really fun character to play. That I think is one of the biggest positives about all of the new characters that they've added, as well as the huge character reworks, is that they're all fun to play. And Kiriko is fun to play. She doesn't take a ton of skill. Like her skill floor isn't super high. Her skill ceiling also isn't like going to be required to get a lot out of her. You're just like Lamp. easier to play with. The Suzu, it's like you're all on your own on calling on when you use that, and it's not going to last as long as a lamp, but at the very least, it's going to be have a little bit more utility in that it has the ability to cleanse a negative effect, as well as the ability to just deny damage. So if someone gets hooked or someone gets pinned or something, you can deny all of that incoming damage for that small fraction of a second. And here I am, just the very, very first game I ever played Kiriko. I never ever played her before this game, so I just figured, you know what, this is going to be a good map for her. And we fare pretty well. This is a great map for long range characters. I like playing Hanzo on this map, and as a DPS, I like Zenyatta and Ana. So if you're on a map where you typically would use Zenyatta or Ana, Kiriko can definitely fit that. And you are going to have to hit your shots to get the true value out of her, because if you're just going to heal, there are characters that are better for that, although she does have the Suzu, so you can kind of get away with it if you're just playing great. But you're going to have a good mix. So I would recommend going into your settings. I personally changed her primary and her secondary fire so that, you know, her primary fire is damage and her secondary fire is heal. If that sounds like what you're used to, I feel like Moira is a little bit different in that because of how she damages and how she heals. So I'm okay with her primary being healing and secondary being damage. But when I first heard that her primary was heal, I was like, I'm going to change that. And I would also recommend to turn off the toggle on her heal. So if you see on her heal, she throws out all of her healing Ofuda all at once. And you can change that to where it only throws it out as long as you're holding down that button. And so that allows you to switch between heals and damage a lot more easily and at your own pace. So you're not constantly, I have to wait for all 10 Ofuda to get out there before I can throw my kunai. You can switch, throw 2 and then shoot, throw, you know, the rest of them and then reload, then shoot. So I would definitely recommend to change that in your settings so you're not always throwing out all 10 of your healing Ofuda at once. And Kiriko, while she's not going to have consistently great damage, she has that pick potential. And as you can see, I was super aggro. I was all by myself. I was in a dangerous spot, but I got value out of it. I got my kill, and before I could be in harm's way, I got away. And here I am rolling up with my Ana. We get going, and we're able to completely wipe their momentum that they were building around this corner. This is a huge corner. Usually if they take this corner, they get it all the way, especially when they took it as far as they did. They didn't get the kills and then push it up there. So that was a big play. So Kitsune Rush is a good ultimate. I wouldn't say it's one of the best support ultimates in the game, especially since it is not like necessarily support focused. It does help you heal more, and you should be focusing more so on healing when you do use the Kitsune Rush. But when the opportunity presents itself, and especially if you feel like your shots are hitting or you just have somebody vulnerable, go for it. You get up close to somebody, especially a squishy target or a tank that's really low, and that's just easy giant forehead headshots. Go for it. That's going to give you really, really big value, and your Ofuda, your protection Suzu can give you that invulnerability that you need for just that second or so to get the initial fight in your favor, even if you're just soloing it, right? You can use, and here I am. I messed up the timing. Usually Orissa's kind of drop it a little bit earlier than that, and I mistimed it. So we're going to lose this fight here as I get my one and only death. Or I don't know why. I don't know why our Sojourn jumped down there. If she just would have stayed up, she still could have done some damage, charged up her ult, and I could have teleported to her, but she decided to go for the 2v5, and both of us die in that case. So big mistake, easy initial headshot for me there, and we just snowball it. Boom, Kitsune Rush, kill, and that is game on my first ever game as Kiriko. It was a ton of fun. So really, really good character. You're going to want to make sure that you manage her cooldowns properly, so you always have the escape or the immortality, or the invulnerability for the few moments that you do have. But you are still a support. Support doesn't mean that you need to heal, but it also doesn't mean that you need to only heal. And Kiriko is great at doing a little bit of everything, but at the same time leaving you a little bit of room to unlock a higher ceiling of potential in what she can do.